You just mentioned back to school. Everyone, a lot of you going back to school today. Well, actually, they're probably not watching if they're in school right now. But anyway, it is back to school season, and some children might start feeling that anxiety about learning, maybe even making new friends, that kind of thing. You know, they all feel that anxiety, and the parents do too, probably.
Yes.
But we're going to focus on the kids right now with some science-based memory tips to get them ready to learn. So Dr. Tracy Packiam is back with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jordan.
Very important topic. And the first thing you mentioned is to read aloud. Now, are you saying for the child too, or the parent?
For the child too. So
Okay.
a great way if they're starting homework is, and they feel they're drifting off already, even though we're just starting school, reading aloud uses two pathways in our brain.
Okay.
It uses the verbal pathway, and our listening, our hearing pathway. So it's a great way to consolidate and learn better.
That is actually very smart, because sometimes, yes, most times I'll read in my head and I'll have to read over the same line multiple times. But I think, yeah, if you say it out loud, I think that would help. Yeah, and there's science behind that.
There is science. The brain actually registers it differently. It's almost like someone is reading to you when you hear your own voice. So
that's pretty cool. Sleep on it is your second tip.
Yeah, so if you have a child that's feeling drowsy already, one study found that even a 6-minute nap can help consolidate that information. So if they're falling asleep in the car on the way home, you know, have them read a little bit of what they need to do and then take that quick nap.
Yeah, if I could fall asleep that quickly, that would be wonderful. Maybe they can, because, you know, they're all like energized throughout the day and they probably, you know, fall harder. I'm not sure. But I like this next tip too. Chew peppermint gum.
Yes.
Why is that?
So there's a couple reasons researchers think this works. The first is the peppermint itself works with a memory neurotransmitter. It's called acetylcholine, so that's really helpful. But it also releases blood flow to the front of your brain, your prefrontal cortex. So you're getting two benefits. One, it's targeting your memory neurotransmitter. Second, the chewing helps increase blood flow.
And you know what's actually really interesting? When I would take tests, I can't remember what subject it was, maybe math, our teacher would give us the peppermint, not the gum, but the little peppermints, the red and the white ones.
She was onto something.
And it definitely, I mean, I think it might have helped with, you know, she just thought, and she would always play soothing music while we took tests too. That is not the case in most of the classes I took. So that was nice to have. So that's interesting. There is science backing that. You also want the children to just draw.
Yes, so I love that you had an artist in here earlier, but my own research based at UNF found that drawing just for 20 minutes, give your child a blank piece of paper, 5 coloring pencils, but that really activates their memory. And we found an increase in memory and a decrease in stress just after 20 minutes.
Oh, really? And then last but not least, game a little. Let them have a little fun, right?
This one is just for the kids, but there is science behind it, especially with 3D video games. What they found, brain imaging studies found more gray matter in our long-term stores of the brain, the hippocampus, because we're constantly navigating, we're using that spatial skills, we're making decisions. So that can be a really fun, easy way to boost memory while decompressing.
But we also want to make sure we're timing that out, right?
Yes, it's not a 5-hour, we don't need 5 hours to see benefits.
And then, of course, with the parents getting involved in homework, do you see that helping as well? Or do you think the child likes to kind of do their own thing in terms of like when they're bringing the material home?
Yeah, such a great question. I think it can depend a lot on the parental involvement.
True.
There's something called helicopter parenting, and that can result in the child doing less because they think, oh, my parent's doing it all, I can take a step back. So there's collaborative learning, and that could be more helpful, where the parent can ask key questions. What should we do here? What's the next step? So kind of dropping little prompts for the child to walk that path.
Yeah, you want them to think about the answer, not you give it to them, because there are several times when I'm like, Dad, how do I do this?
It's easier.
And if they just give you the answer, then you don't actually learn.
That's right.
So, okay, well, thank you so much for helping us out with that. Hopefully you can use those tips, give them to your kids, any kids in your life, and maybe even yourself. I think I want to draw, you know, that does relieve a little bit of stress, chewing that peppermint gum and maybe getting some more sleep. I mean, that sounds good to me too. So thanks again.
Thanks, Jordan.
And we'll be right back.